We believe a demonstration is one of the best sales tools for you and for your dealers to really show what NewWave is capable of. It's fun, it's easy, it's very visual, and it's compelling. So we're going to be looking at some powerful features of the HP NewWave environment, and through most of this demonstration, I'll be using nothing but the mouse. It's that easy to use. Let's take a look. Here's HP NewWave 3.0. If you're familiar with HP NewWave 1.0, you probably recognize a number of visual changes. Using the visual capabilities of Windows 3.0, we now have color icons and have used shading and other effects to really enhance the intuitive direct manipulation user interface. In NewWave, information is managed as objects. Icons represent these objects. Some objects are system services, like the file drawer to store information, the wastebasket where we throw things away, printers, which provides access to local printers, network printers, even printers using the new LAN connection capability you just saw, the agent, which is the system-wide task automation tool, or other such tools. The user can move these objects anywhere they like on their desktop to configure their appearance to suit their own needs. Other icons represent information. In this case, we see an ME professional document and a document prepared with HP NewWave Write. We'll look more at those a little bit later. What I'd like to do is walk through a typical type of demonstration that you might perform or your dealer might perform for customers. We've put together a sample scenario looking at a real-world business problem. In this case, it's a small automobile company, Earth Cars of America, developing the first environmentally sound automobile. And we're going to play the role of a marketing manager in that organization in a typical day's work. So let's go to that demonstration now. The demonstration starts with electronic mail. The in tray and the out tray, in this case, is NewWave Mail, a connection to HP Desk Manager, and soon to HP's Open Mail network product. So we might start the day by double-clicking on our in tray to look at what new messages have arrived. And we can see we've got a number of interesting things here. Troy in engineering has sent us some information we asked for, but Alice Coaster, the boss, is telling us the intro schedule is moved up. That looks pretty important. I just double-click on that message to open it up and see what Alice needs. This window is a mail message. It's made up of several objects within it, a distribution list, and the text of the message. Each of those are separate and can be manipulated separately. If we look at the text of the message, we can see that our competitor, Econocar, has a new model coming out, and we have to introduce our car, codenamed Green Machine, as soon as possible. So we have to put together an updated version of the product plan and get the latest information from the finance and the latest illustrations from the graphics department. Those are other departments, and we'll have to use the network to access that information. Well, after we've read that message, if we want to save just the text portion, since it's a separate object, I can just click on it, and just using the mouse, drag that over here and place it on my desktop, and I've lifted the text out of the message and I've saved it so I can access it later. I'm finished with that message now, and I can throw away the remaining envelope, again, using the mouse as simple as a drag and drop, in this case, to the wastebasket. Now, the other message we have is from Troy Gusmark in engineering. I had asked him to send me some information on the new combustion process we're working on in this car, and I expect that's what this message is. And sure enough, Troy has sent me a message, and in this case, it contains a NewWave Write document. NewWave Write is a word processor that comes with NewWave. I'll just double-click on that item to take a look at what that document is. It'll open up the NewWave Write document. Troy's been working on this combustion process, and he always has some exciting stuff for me. So let's see what he's got to tell me with the message here. Well, has he not only described the combustion process, he's actually sent me along an animation. And this really demonstrates the integration power of the HP NewWave environment. Because in the screen you're looking at now, the animation is actually being controlled by a separate application. But in NewWave, applications work together cooperatively. So I can include that animation in my NewWave Write document, even though NewWave Write isn't aware of the file types or processes necessary to display an animation on the screen. All NewWave Write has to do is ask for assistance from the NewWave environment, and because of object management, the appropriate application is loaded in memory automatically without any involvement from the user, and its information is displayed. This is what we call instant integration. Any application that's designed to work in the NewWave environment can integrate in this fashion. Again, since it's a separate object, I can simply select it with the mouse, and if I'd like to save that animation, which is what we want to do, I can drag it out of the document and place it on my desktop. I could have easily made a copy to it or made a second reference and left it in the document if that was my choice. Well, we're finished with that message from Troy. We'll close that up. And again, I can throw it away with a direct manipulation. Again, everything we're doing so far is just with the mouse. Now, we needed the latest information from finance and from the graphics department. And down here we see three icons which are our access to servers. This is network object storage, the ability to access objects and share those objects in a workgroup environment by using the local area network. Network object storage is designed to work with any networking system that provides file redirection capability. So it can take advantage of automatic network connection and disconnection with Office Share and LAN Manager, but it will work with any network that allows a shared disk to be established between multiple users, including Novell's network, Banyan, absolutely any other network that's available today. Each of these icons we've configured for this on this system to access a different server. By double-clicking on that icon, I'll open up a window which shows me the shared objects available on that server. In this case, there's a 123 spreadsheet and a routing slip from a third-party product, Roycor's ABC Flow Charter. What I want is that 123 spreadsheet so I can move that object from the network to my workstation just using the mouse. I select it, I drag it to my desktop just as we saw before, and now I've transferred that information from the server down to my workstation so I can manipulate it. If I didn't want to transfer an object, we can also just simply check it out from the server. In this case, I'll select the flow charter object and select the checkout command. Now when I check out an object, the object is placed on my workstation so that I can manipulate it, but it still is remembered by the server, and the server remembers who has that object. So if any other user were to try to select that object, they'd find out it was checked out to me and wasn't currently available. The way it becomes available again is when I'm finished working with that object, I simply drag it and drop it back in the server, and now other users could have access to that. Well, the other information we needed came from the graphics department, so I'll double-click on a different icon, and now I'm connecting with a completely different server elsewhere in the network, but I don't have to know anything about those connection details. There's an automobile illustration and an engine illustration. I need that latest automobile illustration, so I'll select that. And simply by holding the control key down as I perform the drag operation, I'll make a copy of that object that's stored on the server as opposed to moving it from the server. So to make a copy is just that easy. Well, we've been around the network, we've been in the electronic mail, we've collected together a variety of objects here that we're going to use to produce the product report we have to create. I'm creating that report with a Me Professional, so I've already started preparing that report. Let's open it up and see where we are. A Me Professional is from Samna Corporation. It's a very powerful word processor with many desktop publishing capabilities, and a Me Professional in its next release will provide full support for the NewWave environment. That will be an incremental release due out a little later on this summer. And we can see we've started preparing a report here, a multi-column document with graphics already integrated. Let me simply scroll down this document so you can see what we have. The engine illustration is already in place. And I have a space over in this column, which I'll scroll over to now, which is where I'd like that 123 spreadsheet to appear. I simply select the area where I'd like it to appear, and now I can integrate the 123 spreadsheet with a Me Professional as simply as picking up the icon, dragging it over, and dropping it in that window. I don't have to know any complicated import or export commands. I never had to worry about file data types, file conversions, and I don't have to worry about that spreadsheet staying with this document. By dragging and dropping, NewWave does all the work. The spreadsheet is included in the document, and moreover, if I want to make a change to that spreadsheet, I can just double-click on that picture right here in the Me Professional document. It asks me for a name for this spreadsheet because as a 123 spreadsheet, it has to be stored in a DOS file, and this is the first time I've opened it since I brought it from the server. And now I've opened up and accessed that spreadsheet directly inside the Me Professional document. Now in this case, it is a 123 spreadsheet, and this project is a joint activity between Hewlett-Packard and Lotus Development Corporation, one of our many NewWave developers, to provide access to 123 directly in the NewWave environment. Any changes I make to that spreadsheet would be automatically reflected here in the document. Farther down in the document, I have a table, which is a query from a database. And I want to update this database query because right now I have some records selected on different test result design information, but none of the actual design data. So to open that object in place in the document, again, I just double-click with the mouse. The underlying application is brought up. In this case, what you're looking at is a prototype of a yet unannounced HP product for database access in a distributed computing environment. And what I'd like to do is change my view definition, the definition of this data view. And you can currently see the only columns from the database we're selecting is the name of the design. So let me bring up my list of tables that I have access to, select the table I'm interested in, the test data table, and now I could select additional fields that I'd like included in this report. And pay attention because I'm doing this all just with the mouse. I want the wires field and the coils field, and just using direct manipulation, I can select the fields I'm interested in. I can rearrange them in much the same way. Likewise, using direct manipulation, I could set up search criteria and sort orders. I won't bother to do that at this point in time. Now let's go ahead and update my database query, which could be from a local database or a remote database. It all works the same way. And now we see a fully updated table. Once I've made that updates to the database, I close it, and I'll return back to my AMI professional document. And of course, I'm sure you know what we're going to see. The table has been updated in place directly in the document. Well, the final item I wanted to include on this page is that animation that we got from Troy. Here's where I put the text in to describe the combustion process. And over here you see the animation object itself. I haven't made a space for it yet. In AMI Professional, that's as simple as selecting the frame tool here and then using the mouse, defining the rectangular area where I'd like an object to appear. So now I have a space for it in the document, and integration is as simple as drag and drop. In this case, I'm moving it in. I could have also used the clipboard to have established a reference to it so I could have the same animation, spreadsheet, table, or illustration appear in multiple documents or be in a document at the same time it's stored in a file folder or elsewhere on my workstation. Well, to finish up here, let's go down to page 2 of this document. And I'll simply press the page down key on the keyboard is the quickest way to get to page 2. AMI Professional gives me a full page view, and I'll go to that now. Unlike many full-page views, this is a fully editable display. I can actually move around text in paragraphs in this view. The final piece we have is the automobile illustration. I'll select my frame tool as we saw earlier. I'll define the area where I'd like it to appear, and AMI Professional automatically reflows the text around that space. If I move it around or change its size, again, you see the text is automatically and continuously reflowed to be properly formatted. And I want to include that automobile illustration. Rather than dragging and dropping as we saw previously, I'll select it, I'll use the clipboard on the desktop, and I could cut and paste it or make a copy, or I can create a share. And then inside the AMI Professional document, I'll perform a paste. And what the share capability does is allows me to establish a second reference or a third or a fourth reference, as many as I want, to the same object. So now we have that illustration displayed in the document. It is the same illustration that's represented by this icon here. I can share it into multiple documents, and if I change any one, it's changed in all the different locations in which that information has been linked using that share capability. So you can see how powerful instant integration is to bring together applications no matter who developed them, and also to do it as easily as direct manipulation with a mouse. NewWave keeps those objects together, so if I were to mail this document or send it to another user via the network using object storage, it's a complete compound object that stays linked together. Well, the other powerful capability in NewWave is the agent. Let's take a quick look at the agent right now. The agent service is able to execute tasks. Tasks can be created simply by recording users' interactions. We're a little short on time today, so I won't actually record a task for you, but I've previously recorded one here. They're as simple to create as turning on record capability and operating the system. And then you can go in and edit these tasks to add additional capabilities. What this task will perform, and to execute it I simply drag the task and drop it on the agent, is a inventory update. It checks our stock information in a database here and stored in this 1, 2, 3 worksheet. And now I'm not operating the system. The agent is in control. It searches through the inventory database, finds out that we're short on a particular item, in this case 720 units short on part number D3 you see down here, and it's created a NewWave Write document. You can see that in the center of the screen. It opens that document up, and it was creating a letter to send to that supplier. It has to look up supplier D3 in a database, so it will do that next. You'll see the database open. It does a search for D3, finds the name and address, selects that information, puts it in the document, and then fills in part number, description, and quantity directly from the 1, 2, 3 spreadsheet. Now that that document letter is complete, it continues its search in the spreadsheet, and for each item it finds where our inventory is short, it will automatically create another NewWave Write document and customize that document for the appropriate supplier. Now, as you remembered, it had to look up the name and address. Those names and addresses are stored in Microsoft Card file, which is not even a NewWave application. But NewWave works with existing applications, and the agent can use keystrokes to select information and control non-NewWave applications. But any application can be operated in the NewWave environment in that manner. And so our agent task, based on looking at that 1, 2, 3 spreadsheet, has prepared 2 NewWave Write documents for me that I can now send out. The agent is a very powerful capability in the HP NewWave environment. It goes well beyond the macro capability provided in Microsoft Windows, which only records keystroke and mouse movements. The agent talks to the applications at a functional level, actual commands that have meaning to the application, not series of mouse movements and keystrokes which might be misinterpreted in the wrong context. That's a powerful capability and provides a system-wide programming tool that can use all applications in the NewWave environment. This is a tremendous opportunity for dealers who want to provide value-added services to build custom solutions around existing applications in the NewWave environment. And by adding agent tasks, can build complete application suites or custom front ends or custom tools ideally suited for a particular end user's capability. They're quick and they're easy to build with powerful testing tools and a broad range of capabilities that's unlimited because the agent can tap the capabilities of every application in the NewWave environment. Well, for the last piece of the demonstration, I've opened up another NewWave Write document here. It's a document about America's space program. And I wanted to show you one more example of instant integration. We've included a picture here. This happens to be an HP Graphics Gallery picture that I dragged and dropped and put into place. And there's another object over here in the document, which I'll open now, which invites me to experience a space shuttle launch. Well, using a capability from a company called New Media Graphics, a special hardware card they've provided, we can put all kinds of things in other NewWave applications, even things like video. Now what you're seeing here is an excellent example of instant integration. NewWave Write doesn't have the capability itself to talk directly to the external video source here and display it on the screen, but New Media Graphics, who provides this interface board, also provides the appropriate NewWave application. And once I have that application, I can drag and drop that video information into my NewWave Write or a Me Professional or any other object in the NewWave environment just as easily as a chart, a spreadsheet, an animation, or a table. That's the power of instant integration, allowing applications to work together cooperatively without individual application developers having had to get together to agree on file standards or API specifications. NewWave is the most powerful applications integration environment